Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Fitbit Sense 2 and see how this particular watch holds up in 2024. Now, this watch has been out for about 2 years now. I literally just got my hands on it, which is pretty crazy. And the thing I can definitely tell you for a lot of people is that these devices are still worth buying. However, it really just depends on what you're trying to do and what ecosystem you're basically on. Because I feel like the Fitbit, right? It's a good device, but compared to some of the other devices that are available, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to go ahead and buy, in my personal opinion. So here's the thing, right? The Fitbit Sense 2 is a very good looking watch, right? It's a standard watch as you'd probably expect. And the biggest thing and the thing I like the most about the Fitbit Sense 2 is that it is working on both Android and iOS. So it's not just an Android watch, it's not just an iPhone watch. You can use it on both ecosystems as long as you download the Fitbit application. So this is a really, really nice touch that, Fitbit basically gave here. And I genuinely like that. I think that is a really, really cool thing. But I feel like because it works on both, it doesn't really work the best on both. Meaning that it's not the best watch you could buy on both, softwares. It's just convenient because it's one of those, watches. It's one of the rare watches that's made by a big manufacturer that works on both these types of devices. So it is kind of interesting. The price tag of this particular watch is about $250 right now. I think I was able to purchase mine for a little bit cheaper when I went into Best Buy. For some reason, it was cheaper there. But regardless of that, it still is a pretty expensive watch. For $250, you could buy a used Apple Watch. You can buy a standard Apple Watch SE second generation. You can even buy a Google Pixel Watch. And I would argue the Google Pixel Watch is a significantly better watch in almost every single way than this particular device. But it really depends on if you're going to be switching from Android to iOS. If you know you're going to be on iPhone for a while, buy an Apple Watch. If you know you're going to be on Android for a while, I would recommend buying a Google Pixel Watch. So just kind of keep that in mind. The front display of this thing is pretty interesting. It looks almost like an Apple Watch and a Google Pixel Watch combined. So it's kind of this squared off circular type of design, which I think looks pretty nice. Once again, I don't have too many things to complain about here with this particular watch, the way it looks. I think it looks pretty nice. It has a standard button on the left side. You're getting a standard side throughout. And on the back side, you're getting the charging port. Now, the thing and the problem that I have with the design on the outside is that when I feel this watch and I feel my Pixel Watch or my Apple Watch, I do feel like in every single way, my Apple Watch and Pixel Watch feel so much more expensive, right? They feel much better, more like flagship type of devices. The Fitbit Sense 2 doesn't really give me that impression. It feels like it's almost like a kid watch in a way. I don't feel like this is supposed to be like a smart watch. I feel like this is like a standard watch. I don't know how else to describe it. Compared to a Pixel Watch and an Apple Watch, there's so much more features built inside of those things. And even from the health standpoint, from a feature standpoint, from when it comes down to fitness stuff, I feel like an Apple Watch or a Pixel Watch will be giving you a better capability there too than the Fitbit. I will tell you the only thing I really like about my Fitbit is that it works on both iOS and Android. Other than that, the Apple Watch and Pixel Watch make a lot more sense for me personally. One thing that really did irk me a lot about this Fitbit though, and it's not all bad, but the one thing that really irked me was that there's not really a store to download more applications. Now, I'm not playing games on my Apple Watch and I'm not using Instagram on my Pixel Watch, but it is kind of nice to have the capability of downloading other applications and going through and if I want to download another app, well, I have the capability of doing so. The Fitbit Sense 2, there's not really a community behind this particular watch. There is some capability here and there, don't get me wrong, but it's not at the same level as something like an Apple Watch or Pixel Watch. So that is another big thing to keep in mind here too. And if you were to go through and pick up a watch, I would definitely be very, very careful of buying something like this. You have to know that this thing is not going to be as fully fledged out as a flagship as something like a Pixel Watch or an Apple Watch. Now, some things that this watch does right for a fitness standpoint, I really like it. Right? So you can track your steps, and this is better than no watch, right? So this thing, if you're going through, you can go through, you have your 24/7 heart rate, on this particular watch. You can track your sleep. You can check your blood oxygen levels, stress management score. You have Alexa built in, which is interesting. You have your, the ability of calling people, messaging people, and even checking other app notifications on your Fitbit. And you have your battery life, which lasts a very long time as well. The Fitbit's battery life is very, very good, which is a really good thing. For a lot of other watches, it's not really as great, but Fitbits have a really good battery life, which is something that's really awesome. So I would say those are kind of the biggest assets for this type of watch. But even with those things being said, I still still look at something like a Pixel Watch or an Apple Watch as being the better ones here, right? I don't mind charging my watch every day or every other day, but I really do mind having like a watch that is more of a flagship. And I feel like with something like the Fitbit Sense 2, it's a good watch, don't get me wrong, but I feel like on something like the Pixel Watch or an Apple Watch, when compared to those ones, it's hard to justify buying this thing for like $250 or even $200 when you can buy those things for like roughly around the same price in the used market. So that's kind of how I see it holding up in 2024. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.